Because I'm Batman. Nice coat, by the way. It's time that we get to punch crime in the face. This is Arkham Twindays. Hi there, viewers. How's it going out there? I am Leo Wolverine, your founding member of Leo's Let's Plays Alliance and game commentator. And now we're going to move on to the topic about the Dark Knight trilogy movies. So yes, it's time that we're going to talk about the Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy movies of Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises, all directed by Christopher Nolan himself. Before Zack Snyder came in to create the DCEU of the DC Cinematic Universe. So, this is the Christopher Nolan's universe of the Dark Knight trilogy movies, beginning with Batman Begins. So let's start off with Batman Begins, okay? So, as you can already tell about what happened to Bruce, about running away from his problems. Well, not running away. Of course, it started off before his parents were killed. It started off with a fun time with Rachel, little girl Rachel Dawes, and Bruce Wayne, and both of them are having fun together by playing a game of hide and seek. So much fun, he wants to hide, and of course, even though now they decided to play a game called Finders Keepers. So, Rachel found an arrowhead, and she says, Finders Keepers, and I found it. And Bruce Wayne says, in my garden. And he looks at it for a moment and says, ooh, he's just thinking. And then he takes the arrowhead away and says, Finders Keepers! And then he runs away, he tries to run and hide playing a game of hide and seek. And tries to hide from Rachel. Then he finds a little secret nook. Hopefully that Rachel Dawes doesn't find it first as kids. But then he fell into some kind of well that's broken up by the pieces of wood beneath the floor under his feet. Falling down the well he goes. And then he got injured. He couldn't possibly move. He has like a sprained leg or a broken leg or a sprained ankle real bad. Then he noticed something in the darkness. Something eerie. Something terrifying. It's so terrifying that bats came out of the cave and spooked Bruce Wayne. And yeah, I'm trying to make it more dramatic if you want to know. So yes, I'm sorry if that worked for you. And forgive me, for I'm trying to get more into the sense of Batman-esque. Is that a word? Because I couldn't tell if that possibly worked out or not. But anyways, yeah, part 1. Yes, part 1. Batman Begins. So I'm guessing, yeah, and then all the bats swarm around little Bruce Wayne, but then Bruce Wayne wakes up, and then he realizes he's in a jail cell, and then one of the prisoners says, did you have dream? And Bruce Wayne said, nightmare. I'm sorry, I'm trying to sound like Christian Bale a little bit, but I'm not. Even though I can do the bat voice, which kind of sounds and hoarse and terrifying, probably. It sounds more like Two Faces. Anyways, yeah, moving on. So, he was in this prison camp of some sort, in China. I have no idea what part of China is, but I'm guessing, I don't know, somewhere central or northern China or somewhere close to the mountains, or who knows. Of course, yeah, I mean, you see the prisoners kind of mess up with his, one of them says, they'll fight you until they kill you. And Bruce says, "Can't they kill me before breakfast?" And yeah, and then usually he said that. And one of the prisoners actually kind of said this interesting, even though I find it intimidating, even though. And yes, he says, you are in. Even though I'm gonna say it once, but never mind. But he tries to intimidate Bruce, even though he says, you're not the devil, you're practice. And then he goes out in fury and tries to break this guy's arm or leg, and then that happened. And yeah, he's not wearing hockey pants. He's just wearing clothes because he's not wearing hockey pants. Alright, I'm not wearing those. Those are for hockey players. Watch the NHL. And so, he took out 6 men who kind of broken ribs, sprained ankles, and punctured lungs. And then one of the guards says, stop. He says, what are you taking me? He says, solitary. He said, for what? Bruce Wayne says, for what? The guard says, for protection. But Bruce Wayne said, I don't need protection. Protection for them. Yeah, protection for them, of course, even though, he gets in. And then this mysterious guy comes out of nowhere inside the prison cell. He says, I see you taking down 6, Mr. Wayne. I can't sound like Henry Ducard. And Bruce said, actually, there were 7 of them. And then this guy says, I counted 6, Mr. Wayne. And now Bruce is starting to pay attention. He says, who are you? He says, my name is merely Ducard, but I work with Ra's al Ghul, who's a member of the League of Shadows. And he says, oh, you're vigilantes. And then he says, no, a vigilante is a person who lost the will to fight or loses his soul. You know what they ever say. I mean, of course, and then they had this little chat about no matter how deep he goes, even though that Bruce Wayne, no matter how deep he goes, they're going down in the muck or in the dirt, even though that happens to work. I almost made a rhyme on this, if you want to know, so thank you very much. You're welcome, Internet! Haha! And so, let's see, Twinkle Toes here kinda wants to get out of this prison, even though now that Henry Ducard wants to tell him, tomorrow you will be released, and then he is going to be released, and want you to go into the field and pick one of these flowers. Take it to the highest mountain, to the tallest mountain from where this tower live. And I know the movie actually kind of the part of the movie is actually taking place back in Tibet or Nepal, which I don't know which out of those two, which it's either Tibet or Nepal, I don't know. So, but the movie of itself is quite amazing, and the music of James Newton Howard and Hans Zimmer, oh my gosh, oh wow, when I heard the music, it's just, oh wow. I mean, the movie itself was pretty average to me, I mean, to be honest, but combined with the music of Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard, and it's like, whoa, that is an epic field drama. You can actually, it is just, as much as I want to go into more of the details, I'll save it the rest of the bit of the details later. So, yeah. So, the scenes of it, it was spectacular. It feels like, it's like I'm watching the Lord of the Rings, only this is a Batman movie of Christopher Nolan. It's just, Oh my gosh, it's just fantastic. Unbelievable. It is just absolutely amazing. It is just incredible. Okay, so he climbs up to the mountains and he finds a village and all these icebergs, and I don't know where you find icebergs during the middle of winter. I mean, I'm pretty sure they had to survive in the harsh, cold fringes of somewhere around China or Nepal or Tibet. You know, I mean, China's and Tibet are not connected with Nepal. And so for that, it's, and as you can see, I mean, yeah. He's able to bring one of the flowers into this fortress or castle or some sort of this ancient temple, which I don't know about, the League of Shadows. And of course that is Ra's al Ghul, is he right in front of him, and Henry Ducard translates, says, "What do you see?" And Bruce says, I seek to stop those of injustice and to those who are praying against the fearful." So yeah, he's able to do it. And even though he can barely stand, because even though that death is not being considered a play being fair or smart, he has to try to dance his way. But even though Henry Ducard says this is not a dance, so he actually beat him during the first try. But Henry Ducard says, "Tell me, what do you fear?" What does he fear? He's afraid of bats, of course, because remember he said bats frighten me because it's time my enemies share my dread, if you happen to notice. That's way later on. So he remembers back as his childhood that he actually sprained his leg or sprained his ankle real bad, and then he was just a nasty fall. Of course, nothing serious. It hasn't broken his leg. It was a sprained ankle. I'm sure he's going to be fine. I'm not saying he isn't. So, yeah. So, even though he says, you do realize why the bats fly at you, because they were afraid of you, and all creatures feel fear, especially the scary ones. Yeah, the scary ones, including the bats. Yeah, all the bats. Oh my. So they kind of went into the subway, of course, and the rail line network that leads straight to Wayne Tower. And yeah, during the daytime, and Martha and Thomas Wayne enjoying themselves. Ow! You hit me with the car! I was riding the subway! So, yeah, they were riding on this subway car, this transit, and the next scene it shows a play about bats. Yes, bats. No, not bats as in, where Joker call them bats. Just, bats. Of course, Bruce Wayne is afraid of fear of seeing bats ever since he fell into that little cave hole. He says he wants to go now, and then Thomas Wayne says, okay, we'll leave, I promise. So he decided to. So he's going to take his son out of the theater. So, and then they come across in this alleyway, and this guy named Joe Chill appears, and he was desperate for money. He wanted the money and money, jewelry, and wanted to take his wallet, and yeah, he said, just, it's okay, just take the wallet and go, just take it and go. I have nothing against you, and I'm not gonna fight. And then Joe Chill says, I said jewelry, and then he fires this gun and shoots at Thomas, and it's oh my, it's just one way to lose a dad. And then he shot his wife trying to grab the jewelry of the pearls, pulls the trigger, and then all that's left is Bruce Wayne crying for his mom and dad, and just stands there alone crying, and it's just an awful way. I mean, you hear the music just completely coming in. I mean, you can actually feel the music of Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard combined. I'm like, wow, you can actually feel the music. Of course, Bruce Wayne was so scared that there was nothing he could do. There was nothing he could do. Of course, there was Jim Gordon, who was kind to him. He says, it's gonna be okay. And then there's Commissioner Loeb. He says, good news, son, we got him. And of course, as taken home, there was a ceremonial funeral for the Wayne of Thomas and Martha Wayne, and then the Empire's in good hands. Of course, I can't remember. He says, when you grow up, he'll be waiting for you. I mean, the actors. I mean, they did so well, including, yeah, Katie Holmes is in this movie as well. Of course, yeah. And Bruce Wayne says to Alfred, it's my fault that they left the theater. If only I had gotten scared. He says, wasn't your fault, Master Bruce. It was him, and him alone. You understand? And Bruce says, I understand, Alfred. I missed them so much. And he said, so do I, Master Bruce. So do I. And, yes, and do you understand the meaning of the parents' meaning of their parents' death? Something like that. Or he says, my anger outweighs my guilt. That's Bruce talking. And Henry Ducard says, come. And he says, you know how to disappear. We can teach you to become truly invisible. So yeah, he can. A ninja relies on strength, speed, and agility. Yeah, and all these kind of moves. The tiger, panther, all of mixed martial arts, kickboxing, kung fu, Muay Thai, karate. I mean, of course, that kind of happened. He was learned a lot by Henry Ducard. And yeah, all of that goes into the net. And so for that, so yes. Okay, now you're gonna hear this. Of course, when he understands he has to learn ninjutsu so well, he had to do, speed, strength, and agility, of course, blah, 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 and he has to use, like, these smoke pellets that can be used as weapons or distractions. And you see, theatricality and deception are very powerful agents. You have to be more than just a match to the mind of your opponent. And guess what? That's right. You have to be more of a match than the mind of your opponent. Theatricality and deception are powerful weapons for Bruce Wayne. So, yay. So, he is able to continue his training. And, oh yeah, Henry Ducard says, always mind your surroundings. And he said, your parents' death was not your fault. It was your father's. It won't matter that anger doesn't it won't matter. It doesn't change that the fact that your that anger it doesn't change the fact that anger will make things right, or sometimes things right. And Bruce Wayne says, the man had a gun. And Henry Ducard says, will that stop you? Bruce says, I had training. And Henry Ducard says, the training means nothing. The will is everything. The will to act. And yeah, there was this awesome cutscene of the fighting battle for training with Henry Ducard and Bruce Wayne. Yeah, it was spectacular. With the music, which is such awesome, inspiring, like dramatic taut music. It's just OMG. Wow. It's just mind blown, and it's just, oh my gosh, this is just fantastic. And then Bruce Wayne says, yield. Henry Ducard says, you haven't beaten me yet. You sacrifice sure footing for a killing stroke. And breaks the ice, and Bruce Wayne falls into the icy cold waters. Tries to warm himself up. On the next scene, and Henry says, rub your chest. Rub your chest. Your arms will take care of themselves. And Henry Ducard kind of tells Bruce Wayne about this little story. He says, about once I had a wife. She was taken from me. My anger almost destroyed me, of course. You know, his anger almost destroyed him from the one he lost of his entire life. And what did it stop him? And Bruce Wayne says, what stopped you? And Henry says, vengeance. And Bruce Wayne says, that's no help to me. And Henry Ducard says, then why, Bruce? Why didn't you avenge your parents' death? Yeah, why didn't he avenge his parents' death? And so that goes on for about Bruce Wayne, about and then Rachel Dawes, you know, played by Katie Holmes, fantastic, of course, from Dawson's Creek, not Gotham's Creep, okay? And look, it's Gotham's Creep, who doesn't know how to fight, even though this is a different Batman universe, but it's Christopher Nolan. It just, you hear the beautiful, sad, somber music, and it's just absolutely fantastic. It's just well done, of course. It's just absolutely amazing. You cannot comprehend the music, the memories, and all that. And then he's just here for the hearing, of course. And then there was a talk with Alfred, and he says, will you be sleeping on the master bedroom, Master Wayne? And he says, my bedroom will be just fine. Of course, this is your parents' mansion, of course, and this is yours. I mean, I don't care about this mansion. I can pull this darn thing down brick by brick. And then this, and Alfred says, this mansion, sir, has shielded 6 generations of the Wayne family. And Bruce Wayne says, why do you give a crap, Alfred? He says, of course I don't want to say that out loud. Yeah, but I give a darn, because a man who wants me, puts me in charge, responsible, wants to take care of the most precious thing in the whole world. And Bruce Wayne said, you haven't given up on me yet. Alfred says, never. Back for the hearing and all that, of course. Nice somber music, of course. Bruce Wayne could not let that slide even though he wants to be at the hearing, so he decided to show up the hearing. Of course, Judge Phaeton was there, of course, Joe Chill, and then, yes, and then he walked free for this endorsement of his release. Of course, Bruce Wayne wanted to say something, but he decided he couldn't say anything. So he waited for the right moment until he wants to pull the trigger with a gun in his hand, but he didn't want to show that in public, of course, until the time is right. But then this mystery woman, he says, Joe, hey Joe, Falcone says hi, and then she pulls the trigger and fires at Joe Chill, and then Joe Chill has been shot to death, and there he lay there on the floor and carried by some group of men, and then he dies. And of course, Bruce Wayne had to say something about this and that, and of course, he's the mopey character. I'm mopey, man, mopey. Please, look at me. I'm whining. And of course, Bruce Wayne says, maybe I should have taken that. No, you're not talking. No, you're not talking about justice. You're talking about revenge. That's what Rachel says, of course. So some good people like this who believe in justice, they're gone. What good would Gotham do? What would the people good do with Gotham would be left for nothing or some sort of thing. And Bruce Wayne says, I'm not one of your good people. And Rachel Dawes says, what do you mean? Says, all these years I wanted to kill him. Now I can't. Yeah, when Rachel saw the gun in Bruce's hand, she's kind of really disgusted, and she says, your father would be ashamed of you. Yeah, it kind of slapped him silly. Yeah, and so he kind of threw the gun away, even though these horrific, tragic events that he has endured as a child, throws the gun away down by the riverbed in Gotham, even though the cars are kind of driving on the wrong side, on the other side of the road, which took place in London, England. So, wow, yes. And okay, and of course, Bruce Wayne said, and then there's Carmine Falcone says, no gun, I'm insulted. And and Bruce Wayne says, I'm not afraid of you. I just came here to show you that not all of Gotham fear you. And then, Carmine Falcone had a chat with Bruce, and he just says, you didn't have a thought of you. You didn't thought about well, he says, I got a couple of off-duty cops. And a judge. A Union General, I don't know. He says, now I don't get a second's hesitation to blow your head off. And that's money you can't buy. That's the power of fear. He says, I'm not afraid of you. Oh, really? Because you've got nothing to lose. You're Bruce Wayne for crying out loud. You gotta go 1,000 miles to meet someone who don't know your name. So, don't come down here with your anger, trying to prove something to yourself. This is a fear this is a world you'll never understand, and you'll always fear, but you don't understand. Alright. And then some of Falcone's goons kind of beat him up, senseless, well, not too much, but just slightly. The kind of one that throws a right hook. And then Carmine Falcone, who shared a cell with Joe Chill, he says, oh yeah, I remember. Joe Chill said to me about on his cell before when he was released. He told me about when I met your parents. He told me that your father begged like a dog. You know, beg. Like a dog. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was... Yeah, even though that was kind of intimidating, and it kind of didn't show much enthusiasm, but he is very angry, even though he's just kind of shocked from what he hears from Carmine Falcone. and sober, and then this homeless guy, or this, he says, should have tipped better. And he says, and Bruce Wayne says, may I have that? What is it? Your jacket? Okay. He says, it's a nice coat. And Bruce Wayne says, be careful when he sees you like this. He says, who? Everyone will be coming looking for me. And by the way, it's a nice coat. And he starts to run off the other side of part of the direction in the docks, and he started to become a thief. The first time he stole, he was hungry, and then he learned fear before a crime and the thrill of success, but he never became one of them. And one of the Chinese guards, even though he's now in China, he says, I don't care who the heck you are. These belong to Wayne Enterprises. I don't care even what's your name. And then Bruce Wayne says this in Chinese. He says, "A fushi for me, you." He says, "Tell that to the guy who owns these." And end scene. And I do believe we are going to stop here, and we're going to talk about more of the ninjutsu stuff from where we picked up from where we left off for another time. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe, and tell me, what do you guys think of the Dark Knight trilogy movies, starting off with Batman. Batman Begins, I'm sorry. Batman Begins. Do you like it or hate it? And mash that like button, because Batman Begins is one of the most fantastic movies in the 2000s of the 21st century. Oh yeah. So for anyways, this is Leo Wolverine saying and speaking as always as your sensational special being who takes chances, makes mistakes, and get messy in Leo's Let's Plays Alliance. Godspeed, play safe, and shalom. See you guys next time for more of Arkham to Win Days. Everybody, see ya!